Hey everybody, if you're new here, my name's Jake. Hopefully you're not. Hopefully you're coming back for the exciting conclusion of my devlog. So, since the last episode, I took what I had and I went to go get some user feedback. So I had some friends play it, and they pointed out a couple small things, such as pop-ups not working, certain descriptions needing to be changed, but mostly it was positive, and that's something you can kind of expect from your friends, is to be supportive of you, but I wanted some more objective feedback. So I went to Reddit, and they rightfully tore it apart. So I got a lot of good feedback and a lot of bad feedback from Reddit. Mostly the feedback was centered around the user interface and how it didn't really appeal to most people, which objectively I understand. I realize it's not a pretty looking game. I'm not particularly interested in visuals, but I understand that most people are. I'm not a huge fan of Reddit. I take all of its advice with a big grain of salt, and I recommend you do too. But it still does represent a subsect of people out there who may or may not be in your customer base. And I think it kind of gave me the push I needed to redo some of the visuals because, like I said previously, objectively, I understand that they don't look great. And at the end of the day, I'm not super interested in art, but it's certainly not something I'm terrible at. I'm not great at it, but I'm not terrible at it. So as most programmers do, with a couple weeks left before release, I decided to redo a bunch of stuff. So the biggest one you'll notice instantly is that I transitioned the map from square tiles to hexagon tiles and made it a single zoom map. And this is kind of inspired by Neo Scavenger. I don't know if I've said that before, that I took some inspiration from that game. But anyway, and the other thing I did is massively simplified the battle screen. So it used to be its own full screen. Now it's a simple panel. You basically have the same actions. The way I did this is that I moved the message box into a single line, and then I made the inventory just the existing inventory that you have. So the only real user interface that needed to be present for the battle screen is the avatar of the enemy, the battle actions you have in your energy bar. So this is just now a small panel at the bottom. I had some extra time to add some cool animations, and it's great. And it looks great over the new map. Other than that, I just sort of redid the trader screen and moved some things around in the crafting menu to make it a little bit cleaner. But overall, the game kind of has a more cohesive look now, and I ran it by a couple friends, and they say the improvements are a great step in the right direction. So again, I'm not expecting to win any awards, but if you look at the game just a couple weeks ago and when it started, this is a huge move forward in the graphics department. Another thing I wanted to do was create a demo. So this is sort of two birds with one stone, because I wanted to put together a tutorial for the game that's interactive, but not totally covers everything. And so I can make the tutorial and then also make that the demo. So you get a free demo, you get to try out the game, run the tutorial, and you have a little bit of a sandbox to play in. And then additionally, for the people who buy it, they can actually come back to that tutorial over and over and try different situations. So,
alright, Paulo, I know you ain't quick, so I'll say it slow. This is a practice run for your next smuggling mission. When you're in the zone, I won't be able to radio like this. Click and hold on the green outline adjacent tiles and move to them. Don't forget, moving and most stuff costs action points, and you only got 10 to spend a day.
So that was pretty fun to record. And if I think about my own practices on Steam, I definitely do look at the videos and the trailer really quickly, and if I don't get a vibe of what the game's about or I'm unsure about it, I go to the reviews. So if I'm thinking for myself, somebody looking at my game, it doesn't have a lot of downloads, it doesn't have a lot of reviews, it's new, it's from an untested developer, right? And it doesn't have these reviews, you're going to be a little sketched out. So I really hope that this demo brings it home and allows people to give it a try before they buy. Ultimately, because I did all of these reworks, I ended up having to postpone my release. Now, Steam sort of has like a murky definition of your release date. You set a date and then you set a window, but I mean, they can't release their game for you. All they have is your testing build. You haven't necessarily uploaded your final release build, so they're not going to release it for you. So I figured there's not really much of a penalty for holding my release back for a week, especially if I'm adding in these last-minute features that I think are necessary and removing bugs, etc. From the Reddit post, I think that it might remove you from some new and upcoming lists and kind of hurt your visibility in that way, but that's not really an issue for me. At the end of the day, I wanted to make sure that I released a quality product, and if that means postponing for a week to get this feedback integrated, then that's totally something that's just going to happen. Unfortunately, I wasn't aware that the demo section needs its own release pipeline to go through. I thought it was incorporated from the main product. So the demo won't be released until next week. Now, the good news is that the game is fully released on Steam now, so go check it out, please. Unfortunately, the demo won't be coming till next week, so I'm not really going to be driving a whole lot of like marketing and, waving it around and stuff until the demo comes out, as I previously described. I think that that's part of the purchasing process in this case, is the try before you buy. But if you'd like to go check it out and take a look at it anyway, go ahead. It's on Steam. I'm very excited. This has been a sort of long process, and it's been a lot of a learning, but super enjoyable, and I'm very proud to have a game on the Steam store. Even though it's not going to win any awards or do anything crazy, it's just a great big step as a game developer, so I'm super stoked on that. Unfortunately, though, I'm not done. Supporting your product is a big section of the whole product life cycle. And so just because it's released doesn't mean it's done. I have ideas for consistent updates, some mechanics, some new characters, some new game modes. I just added snow mechanics so that snow falls on snow tiles and you can use it to make water. And so that's going to be coming out in next week's release. I've got a lot of big plans for it, and I want to make sure that anybody purchases it that leaves it a review that has comments or concerns. Those ideas are heard by me and potentially incorporated if they need to be added to the game. It's not something I'm willing to just give up and move on. I'm very excited about the game, and I want it to continue to evolve and become something super special. So yeah, I think that's it for me. My goal for this game is to sell 100 copies. I know that that's not a very high goalpost to set, but it's my first game, and I think that that's reasonable. So I'll make an update in a few weeks talking about the sales, what things worked, what things didn't work, and what updates I made, and keep your eye out for that. So appreciate it. Thanks, guys. See ya.